Jinping was not there to greet him when Air Force One landed. Not only that, Xi Jinping did not send any top Chinese government officials to greet Donald Trump. Instead, Xi Jinping sent lower level ceremonial people from the government. And then he also sent a group of Chinese school children to wave in Donald Trump's face, mostly Chinese flags, some American flags. This was a greeting that showed that Xi Jinping did not care that the president of the United States was arriving for a purported state visit. Now,
Donald Trump looked visibly rattled, shaken, and uncharacteristically restrained during his summit with President Xi in China after a 2-hour meeting in which Xi issued the stark warning to the United States.
If I burst out in laugh, please just bear with me. But we all are aware that bloated orange toad is in China, and man, has he been humbled. This is like a humiliation ritual. He carried a bunch of his bootlickers, the tech bros, with him. Reaching in China, she did not even welcome him, and he put a bunch of kids that were entertaining to, was it a reminder of the kids that he unalived in Iran, or was it the reminder of the EPP children, or it had absolutely nothing to do with that? We see bloated orange toad showering praises, and we know the moment bloated orange toad starts showering praises to someone, just know he already feels small. And at certain points you could see him talking, and literally you could clearly see that this man is shaky. Even news medias like CNN and more other outlets reported on that. And then, as if things were not going bad enough, they reach that point where they have to sit and negotiate and talk, and I think they were done with everything. The bootlickers were taking selfies and just acting weird and admiring, like these like kids fascinated. Like, we don't have all of these. With all that I have to bring you in here from the different outlets, people reporting on this, the responses and reactions, I just want us to really watch it and laugh. We'll come back to talk about it. Do me a favor, like the video and share it, and let me know what you think in the comment section. I'll be back with more.
Trump's about to get humiliated in China, and the White House knows it. And I would argue that China is now the leading global superpower, not the United States. Why am I saying this? Well, you know it's bad when the Trump administration themselves start scaling back expectations before something even begins. They know they don't have any cards to play. There's supposed to be this grand summit between the United States and China, with Trump and President Xi meeting to discuss all of these important topics and strike these amazing deals. But the Trump administration knows that's not going to happen. China now holds all the cards, not the United States. And if you've been following geopolitical news for the past, 2.5, 3 decades, this should not come as a surprise to you at all. Over the past 3 decades, China has been building itself up to withstand this exact situation: another war in the Middle East, an energy crunch, and an economic crisis. They have the capability to hold out for as long as possible. The United States, on the other hand, not so much. The administration already knows they aren't going to be striking any new deals as it relates to trade or the situation in Iran or the Strait of Hormuz.
Things are not going according to plan for Donald Trump in China, starting with his arrival, where he told the whole world that he was going to meet President Xi Jinping at the airport with a group of CEOs. Well, Chinese President Xi Jinping was not there. He sent some low-level dignitaries. And he sent about 200 school-aged girls to wave flags that Donald Trump then had to walk between all the way to the presidential limo, trolling Donald Trump's association with Jeffrey Epstein and the multiple allegations against Donald Trump about his relationship with young girls, we'll put it. Donald Trump has always talked about how the Chinese people love him, how the Chinese media loves him, how he's big time there. Well, the Chinese government hasn't rolled out the red carpet for him other than to troll him, and the Chinese media has done almost no coverage of him being in China. In fact, they've covered other things more than him. He's not even front page headlines. And this just shows how far Donald Trump has made the United States fall, because even when he went last time in 2017, he at least made the front page of all of the local news in China. They're doing what I believe most media should do, and that's just ignore Donald Trump and his bombastic nature, because when Donald Trump doesn't get attention, he lashes out and he messes up, and he's went there to negotiate a trade deal that China will win.
I think his entire presidency could be distilled down to this single image. You guys all saw the clip in the beginning of the video. You saw how he stopped and he just want to bask in the welcome chant. Oh, by the way, if you didn't know, they're saying that welcome, welcome, you are very welcome. You see, like when he goes to these countries, they roll out the red carpet, they have this big parade for him, they have this big state like lunch. South Korea, Japan will give them gifts. But then when he goes home, nothing. He doesn't get any of this. People don't even want him back based on my other videos that you guys were saying. We don't want him back. And then the other most humiliating thing, President Xi Jinping didn't even go there to welcome him because he knows he has all the leverage. It's a sign of it's a way of saying, yeah, you're not at my level. Or in Trump's words, you don't have all the cards. You have no cards.
12 of the most powerful capitalists on earth flew to Beijing today with the US president as their chaperone to beg the chairman of the Communist Party of China for deals. That's pretty much what is going on here. Now, in a just world, obviously, I'm not going to say it, but if we had a Chinese-style form of governance, we'd be prosecuting some of these billionaires, not flying them around the world so that they can make even more billions. But we don't live in a just world. We live in a world dominated by capital.
President Trump touching down in China as the war with Iran looms large. But this is not the visit the president had initially planned. He had hoped to arrive in China victorious over Iran, with momentum to seal deals on trade and technology. Instead, the standstill in the war taking center stage. Trump insists he doesn't need Chinese President Xi's help to end the conflict, but says they will discuss it.
We're going to have a long talk about it. I think he's been relatively good, to be honest with you.
China is one of...
By the way, Chinese press is basically big ding Donald Trump. And it's deliberate. Obviously, like most of the press, if not all the press in China, both their internal press, their Chinese press, and their English press, like in the Global Times, is obviously controlled by the party. So one of the Global Times newspapers, the major one, China Daily, yesterday posted a full above-the-fold coverage on the nation of Tajikistan and Tajikistan's leader having a meeting with Xi Jinping. And then on the side panel, there was a brief footnote about Donald Trump arriving in Beijing. Things like that do matter. This is from yesterday's China Daily. Sino-Tajik ties enter new phase. Xi navigates China-U.S. relations amid global uncertainty. That's by design. And the Chinese newspaper websites in Chinese, in Mandarin, they don't even mention that Donald Trump is coming to China. And I suspect that's on purpose. I thought that they would be much more excited, even if it is to just like make Trump feel good, make Trump look good. I did not think that they would go the route out of humiliating the American contingency, showcasing their power over the American side on this trip. But it turns out they are doing that. CBS didn't get a visa for Tony Double Cirque. Wait, CBS has no one on the ground in China? Oh, that has to be on purpose. There ain't no way, dog. That's gotta be on purpose. Oh my God. Oh, I'm telling you, these motherfuckers are so in tune with what's going on. All the minutia. CBS Evening News is broadcasting from Taiwan after the network failed to secure a Chinese visa in time for anchor Tony DeCoppel. This is not even about Tony DeCoppel. This is about CBS. I'm willing to bet China did not give a visa to CBS on purpose, like a press visa to CBS on purpose, because they were like, nope, that's like Israeli news. Fuck it. Very funny.
You need to see this clip of Trump at the state dinner in China. He brought up Chinese restaurants.
I love basketball and blue jeans. Chinese restaurants in America today outnumber the 5 largest fast food chains in the United States, all combined. That's a pretty big.
This is embarrassing, even for Trump. Yup, he brought up the popularity of Chinese food restaurants in the United States, like China had something to do with it. This is more humiliating than I predicted in my post yesterday. Who wrote that speech? Did you want him to look stupid, or did he just add that in? Because this is a very formal occasion. State dinners, state banquets, incredibly formal. Sometimes they're white tie and sometimes they're black tie. I mean, if this was the UK, they'd be in tiaras. And absolutely nothing got accomplished. Xi and Trump walked out of their summit and just stood there, and Trump is like, yeah, it's a great place. When asked about Taiwan, China's beautiful. Wow. Yeah, like I said, nothing substantial was going to come from this. He's talking to Sean Hannity and he's saying, well, you know, President Xi said that he's really not fighting the war with Iran, so, you know, he's a good guy and I gotta trust him. Dude.
How were your talks, sir?
It's great.
Did you talk about Taiwan,
Great
Mr.
place.
President?
Incredible. China's beautiful.
特朗普总统说谈得很好。Did you talk about Taiwan, Mr. President?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, did you talk about Taiwan?
Hey, thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. China's president said something to Donald Trump yesterday that you may have missed, and it was an extremely aggressive statement about China's view that it is on the rise and America is declining. Let me explain. Xi Jinping made reference to something called the Thucydides Trap. It's an obscure idea from American political science, and it seems like it might be an odd thing to come up between the leaders of two enormous and powerful countries, China and the United States. And the answer is it's Xi's way of expressing his belief that China's rise is inevitable and that the United States needs to accept, essentially, that Chinese power is going to surpass American power. And it's a way of warning that if America doesn't accept this, that war is borderline inevitable. The idea of the Thucydides Trap comes from a scholar based in the United States named Graham Allison. And the basic idea, which comes from the Peloponnesian War, fought many thousands of years ago between Athens and Sparta, that whenever a rising power, in the modern context China, confronts an established power, the United States, war is almost inevitable. And the reason why the Chinese leadership, and Xi in particular, likes the work of this scholar, Graham Allison, is because Allison argues that essentially the way to avoid the war is for the established power to accommodate the rise of the rising power. Again, in this case, China. Allison also had a piece just before the summit essentially floating the idea that the United States might make concessions in its approach to Taiwan during the course of the summit. So you can see why Graham Allison is popular with Xi Jinping, and you can see why this Chinese leader is summoning the ideas and rhetoric of this American political scientist to make his case to an American president that China is rising, the United States is declining, and if the United States wants to avoid war, we need to accept those facts. It's a very, very aggressive overture.
Such respect for China. You're a great leader. I say it to everybody. You're a great leader.
Trump's in China this week. You've got to check out this hypocrisy.
We give state dinners to the heads of China. Just take them to McDonald's. It's an honor to be with you. It's an honor to be your friend. In your book, you call China an enemy. Why is it okay to do business with an enemy? Because it's an economic enemy. We can't continue to allow China to rape our country.
Pathetic.
Could it get any more humiliating for Donald Trump right now? So the meeting between Donald Trump and his regime and Xi Jinping and his regime just took place in Beijing. Donald Trump was fawning all over Xi Jinping. You're such a great leader. China's so hot. I respect you so much. Meanwhile, Xi Jinping talked about how the current global order is being torn down, that we should not fall into the Thucydides Trap. It's a direct quote from Xi Jinping, which refers to the fact that you have a rising power like China that is eclipsing and getting stronger than the prior hegemon in the world, the United States, and that China is basically saying, while we rise and ascend above you, you should understand your place, Trump, and be subservient and not fall into the Thucydides trap, the way Athens and Sparta went to war in the Peloponnesian War. That's what Xi Jinping was talking about, okay? While Donald Trump's like, you're such a great leader, you're such a great leader. Then there was a moment before the meeting officially took place where Xi Jinping unleashed a group of children at Donald Trump who started like jumping up and down. And this was rehearsed before as well. And in a very creepy way, when the meeting took place, Donald Trump's like, I really love the little kids. I really love the little children. There was also so many other odd things about this meeting, like Marco Rubio looking so impressed at the room that he was in. I mean, like, can you try to at least play it cool a little bit, Rubio? You're the Secretary of State. He's like pointing up and saying, wow, can you believe that we're here? You have Elon Musk with his phone taking photos, and, you know, some of the people Donald Trump brought there, they act like they're tourists here. It's like, you're out there, even though I don't want you to be there, you're supposed to be representing the United States, not like fawning all over Xi Jinping in China. Let's just go step by step, okay? Here's what Donald Trump looked like when he met Xi Jinping. Donald Trump's body language, weak, pathetic. His head was down, subservient. Yes, sir. Yes, Xi Jinping. You're the king. That's how Donald Trump was behaving. As noted before, Marco Rubio pointing at the room like, have you never been in a big room before? Does it impress you that this is a large, ornate room? Okay, Marco Rubio. Then when the meeting took place, Donald Trump turned to Xi Jinping and said, you're such a great leader, Xi. You're so great. Here, play this clip.
You're a great leader. I say it to everybody. You're a great leader. Sometimes people don't like me saying it, but I say it anyway because it's true. I only say the truth.
Then Donald Trump talked about how impressed he was with all the little children that were around. And I think Xi Jinping was sending the children around to troll Donald Trump for a variety of reasons. But also, since Donald Trump is such a warmonger, I think Xi Jinping was also doing it to show the contrast there and swarm him with children. I also think it's a troll for other reasons as well. Here, play this clip.
Like few I've ever seen before. And I think I was particularly impressed by those children. They were happy. They were beautiful. The military is obvious. It couldn't be better, but those children were amazing, and they represent so much. And I know they represent so much to you.
Then Xi Jinping talked about, it was his turn to talk. And he said, the whole world is watching this. And then he gets into it. Watch when he says the whole world is watching it. Let's play this clip.
The whole world is watching our meeting.
And next, Xi Jinping talks about the global transformation that's accelerating and that the international situation is fluid and turbulent, and the world has come to a new crossroads, and we must avoid the Thucydides trap. It's a direct quote. Do you understand what he's saying? He's saying that you need to basically recognize, Donald, the new global paradigm where China is now the hegemon and America is number 2. That's the coded language that's being used, whether Donald Trump realizes it or not, right? The Thucydides Trap is a theory in international relations when a rising power threatens to displace an existing dominant power, and the tension between them often leads to war, even if neither side actually wants it. And it's because Thucydides wrote, it was
Donald Trump landed in Beijing to meet with Xi Jinping. Most Western media is focusing on the trade deal and the war in Iran. But Laura Becker, who is one of these Western journalists actually based in China and writes for BBC, is looking at something completely different. She went to Chongqing, which is a massive neon-lit megacity in the south, to look at what China is actually doing while America is distracted. According to Laura Becker, the dynamic between the two countries has completely flipped since Trump's last visit in 2017. Back then, China was trying really hard to prove that they were equal to the United States. They threw a massive state dinner to impress him. Now, they don't feel like they need to do anything to prove anything. The article explains that Washington finally recognizes China as a near-peer competitor. Laura also goes on to talk about the people on the ground who says Trump's chaotic policies and his constant trade war actually helped China. They even have a nickname for him, Trump the Nation Builder, 川建国. Because the United States put so many tariffs on them, China was forced to become self-reliant. Because the United States put so much tariffs on them, China was forced to become self-reliant. They pour billions into electric vehicles, industrial robots. The article also notes that America is not even China's top trade partner anymore. The United States dropped to the 3rd place. China exports way more to Southeast Asia and Europe now. So while Trump is sitting in Beijing right now thinking that he has all the power to squeeze them on trade, the reality on the ground is that China does not rely on American markets like they used to. Laura thinks that China is using this visit to show the world that they are a stable, futuristic superpower, while Trump is being unpredictable as ever. To me, it's just hilarious that American politicians still think that they hold all the cards. The past year and a half, Republicans has shown that they don't really care about anybody except for, CEOs in their own pockets.
You know what I think's great? Some of the worst men in the world all getting on a plane to China. The CEOs of Citigroup, Apple, Nvidia, Tesla, Blackstone, Micron, Goldman, and more all boarded a plane to go beg the leader of the Communist Party of China for business deals. Because all of the businesses that operate under the Communist Party in China are doing much better than the US, offer better products at cheaper prices. There's also a reason the CEO of Ford drives a Chinese car. Their products are better than ours. Their government actually gets their businesses to compete against one another. The way you win in the US is you cut out everybody else. You block out the competition. You ban competition from other countries, and you make people buy your inferior product at a higher price. The Chinese government actually forces companies to compete in a market. And lo and behold, when the aim of the game becomes making a good product at a low price, you end up getting the sales to follow. China uses markets in a much better way than the US does. The Communist Party of China picks and chooses which industries it wants to focus on. And it invites businesses that make good products to come to it, and it will give them funding. If you are beat out by someone else who has a better product than you do, the government shifts its focus to them. And in the end, the people who work for that company benefit the most. State power is wielded for the benefit of the greater majority of people instead of just wealthy shareholders. I think that's a key difference to point out in these conversations. In the US, state power is wielded by big business to shut out competition. Bourgeoisie, the ultra-wealthy, have bought out the state, and they make sure that you can only buy their product. In China, the ultra-wealthy have incredibly little class power. The state apparatus is not wielded by them to oppress working people. That is why China is a socialist experiment. And judging by the fact that the most capitalist country ever sent some of its finest over there to try to get some deals, it clearly works.
The village idiot Donald Trump is in China today. There are at least 10 CEOs from huge companies that are going with him to China, or that went with him to China today. The village idiot Donald Trump is going to humiliate us, and now he's going to humiliate these CEOs. Actually, these CEOs are humiliating themselves. Why a CEO would go of a huge company like Citibank or Nvidia, why you would go to China with this idiot on Air Force One to make a fool out of yourself is beyond my level of comprehension. But this is what they've opted to do. The Chinese are laughing at this right now to the point where the Chinese weren't even acknowledging it. Here, this is all over our headlines that, it's the top story that the idiot is going to China. The Chinese, most major Chinese news outlets weren't even acknowledging it or were just acknowledging it as a very small, unimportant story. They're already making a joke out of it, and they're already all of them together are going to humiliate us.
I'm going to do some longer videos on this today as more coverage comes out. It's Thursday morning, about 7:20 a.m. Donald Trump is in China. He had his first 2-hour-long meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, who is an actual strongman, an autocratic leader with an iron fist on a country that's kicking our ass in all kinds of areas, a country with a population 3 or 4 times the size of that of the United States. And initial reports that Donald Trump walked out of that initial meeting and he appeared to be shaken, disoriented, confused, not in a dementia way, but in the way that somebody who just got their ass handed to them when they expected a different result would walk out of a meeting. And this is what happens to Donald Trump when he gets confronted face-to-face, in person, with real, actual power, not his bluster, bravado, bullshit, truth social crap. When Donald Trump is confronted with that kind of power, he immediately becomes incredibly submissive. Because inside he's a wounded little boy. He's a sociopath and a lunatic. But when he is confronted with that kind of actual, real power, he becomes incredibly submissive. And he is heaping all kinds of praise on Xi Jinping in his public remarks, like he does when he's around Putin. It's the same shit that he does when he's around Putin. He just submits. He becomes submissive. He's talking about how President Xi is such a great friend of his personally, and how grateful he is for their personal friendship. And it's just like, I can't imagine what it's like being President Xi Jinping and members of his administration, watching Donald Trump, the President of the United States of America, come over with all these fucking CEOs and all these people from his administration and get in a meeting with fucking President Xi Jinping and immediately start acting like he's sitting in the cuck chair, man. I mean, it's total cuck energy. This is the guy that MAGA supporters with their 7 teeth hold up as the ideal of masculinity, and Trump gets over there and just submits right out of the gate.
Thanks for tuning in, and how is your day going? I appreciate you and your support to me on here, and I'm hoping that indeed the Most High is continuously protecting you, keeping you, preserving you and yours so very well. And yes, join me to give a special shout out as well to the members and sponsors of this channel and to the entire community of 62K members that are always sticking out and supporting the channel. Yes, we are catching up with this episode of the bloated orange toad and his visit to China. I think this was a highly anticipated event because we could see the atmosphere and how also this event has been talked about for like so many times before it even happened, especially by US and the Western medias and the political analysts, yes, and the people that watch the political space or atmosphere. But when it comes to China, they act like it's not a surprise. Meanwhile, everybody is trying to hype this and trying to say Bloated Orange Toad is doing this to save, this event that is in the future and all of that. But as if this whole thing did not already start on a very bad note, because when Bloated Orange Toad was getting onto that, the Air Force, going to China. He left America. I've not seen someone that just has issues with their brains, like, especially in a position of a president like bloated orange toad. Imagine leaving home as if you think you're not going to come back, and you're telling people that you're not bothered and concerned at all with the amount of money that Americans are paying for gas prices and cost of living, as if you... Forgive me, because I just can't. It's like it's a, I know that it is a concerning situation for a president to be in, a concerning position for a president to be in, but the fact that he left home after setting his own house on fire, he goes for a visit. And the visit is also turning out to be, they are literally clowning him. He's becoming a clown. He's speaking too much and throwing praises. I love him. But y'all have seen the history of him literally speaking crazy about Xi and China, And now he's the same man that is showering praises to Xi, how they are great friends, how he loves him. He's such a great leader. We saw the same energy and behavior when Mamdani visited the White House. Bloated orange toad was all lovey-dovey. You would think the amount of energy and seriousness he has on social media, it's the same personality he has. Deep down, he's a baby. It probably is the reason as to why they staged kids. Now, I know that indeed, probably it's a culture of China to put kids out there, but this time around, lots of people could not help it but notice the fact that these are kids. Are they trying to kind of communicate something in regards to the Epstein kid survivors or to the Iranian kids? And we saw that indeed he was that much elated and excited because, he loves them young. So you don't get shocked. But the fact that he left home with his very own house set on fire, to a point that even his very own base could not find words to defend him. They're like, I don't think he said that. I don't think he meant it that way. And whenever they come in and talk like that, that, again, he's literally set a trap for them. And they have to, bow down and start bootlicking and try to cover up for the things that he says. And the things that he normally says, he actually always mean it. Okay, he told the press and everybody else, back home, I don't care that much. This is not a factor. The fact that you Americans are paying so much, it's not a factor. And then he goes to a place where he's supposed to be the president with vigor. And he's given an ignore. From the very beginning when he landed, she did not even come to welcome him. And they sent all these low caliber, whatever, envoy and whatever's from China to greet him. And then he goes with his bootlickers, the tech bros, and they have nothing really to offer. It makes you wonder why. Like, I think personally, all that is running in my head is he knew he had already lost this whole entire thing, so he needed people to make him feel like he still got it. So the tech bros were there, all of them looking like this is Disneyland. All of them looking like this is Disneyland, surprised, shocked. I think I included a clip of Elon Musk already being weird. I'm like, what the hell? What the hell? Like, I thought it's America first. Why are you taking all these people in the first place to China? I think it tells us who has the cards. Those of you that play Uno, you know that when you have Uno, all the Uno cards, then that means you actually can't win, okay? Like, it does not guarantee that you are going to win. Me, I don't play Uno. We have a different card of game over here that has cards that we play as well. That kind of looks like Uno, but it's not Uno. But the fact that he has to carry a cabinet to go there, and they all have to be looking forward to what China has to say, tells us China has the cards. You are not the global superpower that you used to be back then. And Bloated Orange Toad is just trying to be sweet and nice, like a little pet dog. And now all of a sudden he's not even answering questions. At least the media was at peace in America because, he was at least for one time being taken away for things that are serious. And I'm sure he was afraid of saying anything because he knew whenever he opens his mouth on his Truth Social, he would ruin everything. But I think the situation is more clear. We don't know what is going to be the outcome of this whole entire thing, all right? But it shows you who really, really has the cards. America is not that global production power anymore. Everyone is looking toward China, and everybody knows that. And the man is trying to, kind of beg. He's just reduced. The president is now reduced to being a beggar, a clown, just, sweet talk people. Because again, it looks like that's the only thing that he has to offer. Is there anything else? Nothing. Nothing. Because if you have to resort to just praising the other leaders, and there's nothing that is tangible and of substance you have to put on the table to lobby for the American people, you have to resort to praising. That's what went down with Bloated Orange Toad and his team of weirdos, because a lot of them, some of them need to be in jail. It's just because they have good lawyers. And Bloated Orange Toad said that there's someone in there that is been fighting so hard to keep him out of prison. Lots of these people. Isn't Elon Musk having an active case? Why is he even traveling? Anyway, I just wanted to report on this and how Bloated Orange Toad got humbled and, humiliated. It was just, this whole entire thing is like a humiliation ritual of Bloated Orange Toad and the America on a global stage. Everyone now sees who needs help. Those thoughts in the comment section, like and share. That's all I wanted to share with us today. Thank you so much for always watching. Do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. That will mean a lot to me. I'll see you in another one. Until then, my name is Gracie. God watch over you and yours. Bye.